Yeah, so you mentioned TRT, and so with arm wrestling, right up until perhaps the noughties, PEDs weren't really part of the game. So, it was natty against natty, big natties against small natties. John Brzenk again, great guy, was able to beat some of the day monsters like Cleve Dean, which is insane. I mean, the size of that guy. Like, wow.
450 pounds or something crazy like Cleve Dean. Insane.
He was more than that. I think he was 600 pounds. So the difference was maybe 400 pounds.
Crazy,
It's
crazy.
just insane. So, but then turn of the century, in steps the likes of Alvora and Denis Saplenkov. I think Denis Saplenkov's nickname was Syringe. my guess, because what's his name? Taras Ivakin was just talking about the past, and he mentioned that, and then in walked Syringe, and then we all started to lose or something. So I think it had to kind of be Dennis. But regardless,
Yeah.
somebody was obviously using a syringe. And then, when John competed against Syringe, John was maybe on androgel by that time, which is, like something that you put on your skin. So it must have been a very light
Yeah.
testosterone thing. So, and he has said, I don't believe it actually gave me more strength, but it gave me more motivation and belief that I could still do this. And if you're watching Pulling John, he does seem kind of deflated, John.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem to have the energy to do this. So it can be more the motivation that it increases. But your
Yeah.
thoughts on
Well,
that?
well, testosterone does a lot of things, and it interacts with a lot of systems. And one of the systems it interacts with is the energy system, right? Just like your alertness and everything like that. So yeah, when like a small dose like that, whether it makes you actually stronger, and it depends on how low your testosterone is to begin with too, and how much of an effect this is going to have. But it's for like that example that you gave with John, it's more like, yeah, maybe not necessarily stronger, but it gives you the motivation to use the strength that you were already harnessing,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's one of the things with testosterone. It's sort of like a get up and go. I want to say it's like drinking a coffee or something, but motivation and determination is one of the effects that testosterone has on both men and women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Increasing sex drive too, like libido, right? It just basically like testosterone basically says like kill something or screw something, right? Or like get something done, right? So yeah, so that's TRT though, but it's sort of the same thing in terms of should you take it, and this will be my next YouTube video is should you take TRT?
Mm.
And spoiler alert, it's going to be me walking through all the protocols that you should do first if you're not doing them. And this is if you watch Andrew Huberman or any of these big YouTubers, same thing. They're like, if you're not eating like grass-fed beef and you're not sleeping well and you're drinking low quality water, etc.,
Mm.
you are actively suppressing your natural testosterone production.
Mm.
Yeah. That you're actively doing that. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
the things. Like if you're doing all those bad things, you should not have high testosterone because it's physiological. You're physiologically suppressing it. So you got to
Mm.
make corrections first. Then if things don't work out, then maybe there's a place for it, but use it as a Kickstarter. Make a time. I'm going to be on for 3 months, and I'm going to see if I can really hone in on these 5 foundational principles and create habits while I have the energy to do it.
Mm.
Because like
Yeah.
I said, it sort of gives you the energy to do the right things, right? And then you can wean yourself off with sometimes they'll wean people off with Clomid or another drug, but sometimes you can just lower the dosage and come off. But as far as TRT goes, if that was the question, I'm not sure, but
Is a good answer, and actually leads me to a follow-up question about both TRT and stronger PEDs. Is that, as far as I have understood, that if you're on them long enough, you actually will have to continue to use them, because your body stops producing its own testosterone and becomes reliant on the chemicals that you add to your body. And also that's partly because the body has a limit to how much it can have or accept. So it's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? I'm going to have to stop my own production because this is just way too much. So once you've made the decision, if you do it for a certain length of time, is that right? That then your body's like, I don't need to be here.
Yeah, correct. So Dorian Yates, who's a 6-time Mr. Olympia, he's a big proponent of telling people like not to do steroids unless it's like you're willing to sacrifice everything, because now his balls don't work. His balls are broken, essentially.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do it. He doesn't have any testosterone in his system. So he's ruined his natural testosterone production. Now you can do that too through TRT. Like when you start taking TRT, your balls don't work either, because your body has a regulating mechanism. So it starts in the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus sends gonadotropin releasing hormone to the pituitary, and then the pituitary sends luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone to the testes, and then the testes produce testosterone, and then the hypothalamus monitors how much testosterone is in the system, and then it basically tells the testes to either keep producing or cool it for now. But essentially, that's a sort of a long-winded answer to what you said, but that's sort of scientific explanation of why your natural testosterone production stops, even when you do low doses of even TRT, right? Because the dosage given is a physiological dose, meaning it's a dose that like that I probably have in my system right now, right? And that's all it wants. So that's why when there's an abuse of these anabolics or steroids, that's why it's hard on the liver as well, because it has to get rid of so much extra. So yeah, so your balls don't work, whether it's TRT or full-on steroid abuse.